Welcome to New Possibilities. I speak truth to power without fear. So, over the weekend, I saw this article about Electronica, and Electronica was responding to Nick Cannon's interview with Rabbi Abraham Cooper. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to share my screen. I'm going to talk about what Jay Electronica had to say, and then I'll have some brief comments. Also, I wanted to give you all the heads up. Hopefully, later on tonight, I will do another live stream where I talk about Nick Cannon's interview with this rabbi and share my thoughts about that particular interview. I started watching the interview. I'm just about done with the first part of it. So So I should be back up, later on tonight. It'll probably be around 10 p.m. tonight, Eastern Standard Time. So I hope that you all can tune in and check that out. Peace to Def Rocker. Thanks for tuning in. But yeah, so this should be a very brief live stream. But later on tonight, I'm going to provide my analysis of Nick Cannon's interview with this rabbi, share my thoughts. And I'm really interested in hearing your thoughts. For those of you that saw that interview, if you could share your thoughts right now in the live chat or after this video uploads, I would really be interested in hearing that. So let me go ahead and share my screen. Okay, so this is the article that I saw from Source Magazine about Jay Electronica. So as you all know, Nick Cannon has been in a lot of controversy. He had the brother Professor Griff from Public Enemy on his program, and they made some statements about white people. There were statements about basically who controls and dominates entertainment and media and all that kind of stuff. And after that interview, a lot of people were condemning Nick Cannon as anti-Semitic. And actually, Viacom took away a lot of his jobs that he had. Like he's a host of several programs. They took those from him, fired him, and all that kind of stuff. And at first, Nick Cannon was defiant, as you all know. Then Nick Cannon issued an apology. And now he's supposed to be donating to some Jewish cause and all that kind of stuff. And you all have seen the videos that I've done so far on this particular topic. If you haven't, I encourage you to visit my channel so that you can check those out. And hopefully I'll be able to post it in the cards. I don't know if you can still do that. I'm getting used to this whole new YouTube studio format. It's different from before. So once I figure that out, I'll probably put my prior videos in the cards so that you can see those. But again, later on tonight, I'm going to do a thorough response to that particular interview. But for now, that's just background. So after Nick Cannon got into all this controversy, lost his jobs and all that kind of stuff, was roundly condemned by some elements in the Jewish community as being anti-Semitic. Nick Cannon issued the apology. He had discussions with this Rabbi Abraham Cooper. He brought Abraham Cooper onto his program. And from what I understand, they had a two-part discussion. So in response to that discussion, Jay Electronica blasted this rabbi. And, and I'm sure the reason why he did so is primarily because the rabbi said things about Farrakhan, called Farrakhan an anti-Semite. He talked about statements that Farrakhan made in the past about Hitler being a great man and about Judaism being a gutter religion and all that kind of stuff. And I plan to address those again tonight in my live stream at 10 o'clock. So y'all tune in for that. But anyway, let's go into what Jay Electronica had to say. So in response to that interview, Jay Electronica put out tweets. And like this article says, like doesn't like regularly put out tweets and all that kind of stuff. He's not one of these celebrities that do a lot of this social media stuff. But these are some of the tweets that he put out. He said, Rabbi Abraham Cooper is a coward who lied to our brother Nick Cannon about the history of the Caucasian race. ask him to stand behind the vile teachings of the Talmud. Don't be a coward next time, Cooper, you devil. So he's calling this man a devil. He's calling this man a coward. He's saying that he lied about the history of the Caucasian race, and he alludes to some vile teachings of the Talmud in that particular tweet. Then he goes on to say this. He says, sit down with the Honorable Louis Farrakhan or the Executive Council of the Nation of Islam and defend your claims and prove us wrong. We are indeed the true children of Israel, and you are an imposter and birthright stealer as described in the scriptures. And he says, Anti-Defamation League and Weisenhall's Center, bring them out. And then he goes on to say this. He said, we defy you to challenge us on these claims publicly, you lying anti-Semite. So he's saying that this rabbi is an anti-Semite instead of the other way around. And then he shares this link to a discussion that members of the Nation of Islam had on YouTube. And then he shows this little clip, he shares this clip from Farrakhan that he actually used in one of his songs, where he basically says, don't you come out and speak. He's talking to the sellouts in the community, basically telling them, don't you come out and defend our enemy. You sit down and shut up and let him deal with this, basically saying, let your master come deal with this. Don't be out here defending your master and all that kind of stuff. He said, Jay Electronica went on to say this. He said, I want every single molecule of smoke there is to be had. So he's basically challenging these people. Like, unlike a lot of celebrities that avoid controversial subjects, he's saying, I want that smoke. I want people to accuse me of anti-Semitism or to, try to say I'm racist and all that kind of stuff and try to attack me. He's basically saying he welcomes the smoke. And, regardless of how I feel about, the Nation of Islam or things Farrakhan has said, this is a bold thing for an entertainer to do, to say that they want that smoke, they're willing to meet the challenge and all that kind of stuff. And then he puts out this tweet where he says, please make sure you read The Secret Relationship Between Blacks and Jews. It's a must read for these times. And I think that that's one of the reasons, that whole book was part of the thing that caused that controversy with Professor Griff. In that interview, Professor Griff talks about that book and all that kind of stuff. So that's part of the reason why Professor Griff was under attack years ago and eventually forced out of the group Public Enemy. So those are some of Jay Electronica's thoughts. Again, this article is posted in the description box so that if you want to read it for yourself and check it out for yourself, you can. So I really look forward to sharing my views about this particular interview that this rabbi did with Nick Cannon. I'm going to do that tonight. So I'm really interested in hearing what y'all thought about that interview. So let me stop sharing my screen for a second. So let's see what people are saying. Okay, so A. Shabazz said he didn't watch it yet. But I hear the rabbi lied on Minister Farrakhan. And Harrison X said, peace. He said, I love what he said and stand by every letter 1,000%. And somebody said, Jay Electronica is the man for going up against these people Rob M said he won't watch the interview. So A. Shabazz said, wait, MP, you don't rock with Minister Farrakhan. I mean, I agree with a lot of things that Farrakhan says. You know, I respect Farrakhan and I respect the Nation of Islam, but I don't agree with everything that they espouse, you know, by any stretch of the imagination. But I do agree with them on many things, like the need for Black economic self-sufficiency, you know, the need for strong Black businesses. You know, I agree with a lot of their teachings, you know, in terms of being righteous, you know, family life and all those things. There's a lot of points of agreement with the Nation of Islam, but there are some points of disagreement. You know, as many people may know, I am a Muslim, but I'm not in the Nation of Islam. You know, so there are religious differences that I have with the Nation of Islam, but I greatly respect them. And I've done videos on this where I've explained the points of disagreement that I have with the Nation of Islam. And if I'm able to figure out this new YouTube studio thing, you know, I may post a link in the cards to some of those prior videos where I've thoroughly discussed my views on the Nation of Islam. But I really look forward to talking about this whole question of whether or not Farrakhan is anti-Semitic, and even whether or not that was even relevant in the whole interview, whether or not that should have even been mentioned in the interview. So I will be talking about that later on tonight. But I respect Jay Electronica. I'm just going to be clear on that. Like, first of all, I respect him as an artist. I love his music. You know, his album that he put out with Jay-Z is one of my favorite albums, recent albums that I've listened to in a long time. You know, and he's put out many songs before then, like songs on the underground that are excellent. You know, he's one of my favorite MCs. And, you know, I respect his courage, you know, regardless of the position. I respect somebody that stands on their square and stands their ground. And I respect loyalty. You know, I respect the fact that he is loyal to Minister Farrakhan. You know, he really comes out and defends Farrakhan. He's even defended Farrakhan against other rappers. Like I remember, it was probably a couple of years ago or so, he got into like a brief little Twitter beef with Talib Kweli for a minute. So yeah, I have respect for Jay Electronica, man. I mean, this is a bold move for somebody in the industry, you know, the entertainment industry, to come out and make these kinds of statements. So I'm really interested in what's going, like if he's going to suffer any kind of blowback and all that kind of stuff, or how that's going to affect his relationship with Jay-Z. Because I remember they were even coming after Jay-Z a while ago when just for wearing a medallion from the 5% Nation of Gods and Earths. So yeah, so I'm really interested in seeing how this thing develops. So Def Rocker says that I have watched the speech where Farrakhan mentioned about Hitler being a great man, and the one where he said it's a gutter religion. If you listen carefully, there is no anti-Semitism in it. Yeah, I noticed that there are a lot of people on all over YouTube, you know, well, some people on YouTube defending Farrakhan's statements, you know, those particular statements. You know, the brother Ben X did a video on Instagram, and I think he put it on YouTube as well, you know, defending Farrakhan, showing the clips and trying to explain them away. You know, I plan to talk about that in detail. You know, I'm just going to save that for tonight, share my views, my honest opinion about those statements and stuff like that. But I will say right now, you know, I think that the rabbi mentioning Farrakhan was a something that really take the discussion off course, because during Nick Cannon's interview with Professor Griff, they kind of mentioned Farrakhan, but that interview was not about Farrakhan. And, you know, these attacks against Nick Cannon had nothing to do with Farrakhan. They have to do with statements that Nick Cannon made on his program. And that's what should have been the focus of the discussion between the rabbi and Nick Cannon, not something that Farrakhan had to say. And I think that that's just a distraction. And I'll just say the rest for later. You know, I'm not going to go into it now, but look out for that later on tonight around 10. Yeah, so I see A. Shabazz is mentioning Ben X's video debunk, you know, quote unquote debunking what the rabbi had to say. Yeah, so I'm going to look into that. I'm going to look at Ben X's video again with his explanations and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, so I'll look into that and also talk about that briefly tonight. So I'm really looking forward to that. So I want to thank you all for tuning in. Please rate, comment, subscribe, like the video, share the video, hit that notification bell so that you'll know when I post new content on here. And yeah, so I look forward to the discussion tonight. Peace and blessings, everyone. Have a great day.